Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys had a phenomenal week, both in the markets and in your lives. And as we go ahead and kick off this weekend video here, a couple different things. So it's good to understand where we've been, what we talked about, and then we can see the follow through so you can learn these strategies and practice them, because as I promise you, they will continue to repeat themselves over and over and over again. So as we kick off this weekend, let's think about last weekend's video here, where what I did was I talked to you about this level. I was looking to break down below that accumulation bar. If it broke down below the accumulation bar, we are looking for a target down to here. You go back and see the whole video for yourself, but you understand that's the key from it. It's about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, into it. So sure enough, we broke down below that accumulation bar here, and look what ended up happening from there. We came right down to the target before having a bounce. Now, from there, a couple other things that we actually had talked about as well were using the SQQs, the inverted ETFs. So in other words, as the market was going down, that would offer up some incredible opportunities on the long side for SQQ. That went ahead and happened there. And then you recall also in my videos I've been telling you about gold and crude oil, and boy, I've taken a lot of heat on those guys. I'm not looking at this as through a lens, a rose-colored lens. I'm looking at this and what the charts say, and that allows me not to be so invested and passionate, about it. So with that being said, the charts have just said for months and months that gold is in a downtrend. And so what happened is that we just now hit a new several month low as of Friday. So it continues to not have that reversal back up as of yet. And of course, the same thing with crude. Crude was up much, much higher when I said that I have no interest in long side crude, for a holding here. If anything, I'd look at short-term shorts on an intraday basis primarily. So those things all have kind of come to fruition as well. So go back, watch some of the videos that talk, to learn more about why I'm looking at these things this way. But it's nice to see everything following through. So as we go ahead and we look then, now bring this back to like a weekly chart. If we fail to hold this area that I drew for you Friday, which we bounced right at, then, we could potentially see, much lower lows here. So I'm going to be watching that. But these bounces are very important as we're seeing them happen. This is a strategy I've taught you many times. Just like I wanted to break down below this level to look for the deeper correction in the next target. Well, so we had this target zone. Well, all right, so we're expecting to see buying. So what are some of the things I'm looking for in that area? Well, I'm looking to see if we're going to go ahead and make a lower low in price, but not a lower low in the indicators, right? And so here you can see we had a much lower low in price, but an equal low on the fast trigger, and on the core trigger, we actually had a positive, full-blown positive divergence. So I'm looking for those things to tell me, hey, now's a good time to back off, because that's where we expect to see things where, like Friday afternoon here, into the last hour, we had a pretty healthy rally to stop out a lot of people who thought this was going to be a Friday afternoon crash. So the charts told us that. Where else have you learned that concept, from me? Well, if you think about it, we talk about this all the time where, if you even like, for instance, last December, another one of those things where people were kind of in disbelief at that time. I talked about the next real estate crash, right? And I talked about all my concerns about the real estate bubble. I gave you some real world examples to go ahead and be concerned about. And I told you at that point, when we were doing an ITP presentation there, my institutional trader pack presentation, I told you, that inverse ETFs would be a clear-cut thing to go ahead and focus on. Just gave some examples of how those work and everything else. Well, so then I brought it back, for you as well. And so history is going to repeat itself, so it's important to learn these things. We talked about the last real estate bubble where we had a negative divergence there in the price versus my ITP indicators, right? Same thing on the SPY. So the diamond and the SPY both. So the Dow and the S&P both had the negative divergence. Well, then they turned around at the bottom of the whole thing and ended up having a positive divergence, as you can see here, right before the big recovery. Same thing with the SPY, had a positive divergence before the big recovery. The point that I'm making is I use these strategies on an ongoing basis. Well, guess what? Look what we had here in December of last year. Right? December of last year, when I was warning about the real estate market, we had negative divergences, right? You can see it there on both the fast and the core trigger, negative divergences. Well, guess what happened, gang? And here we are at new lows again. It's so important that you learn these strategies. And so now what I'm looking at here is we've talked about inverse ETFs like the DRV. There's multiple types. There's other types of inverse ETFs here. You can take a look at a couple of them. The easiest way to find the inverse ETFs is when the market is going down, turn your strategy to ETF and bullish in the wealth scanner inside of Wealth Charts, which is an extraordinarily powerful tool. And so these tools are award-winning here, and it's important that you understand them. Wealth Scanner is an incredibly powerful set of algorithms, and also has my work embodied in it as well. So you go ahead, you flip it over to ETFs, for instance, turn it to bullish, and now you'll find those inverse ETFs. And guess what? Wow, shocker, we see the real estate inverse ETFs here, as well as other stock index ones and that. So great way to go ahead and find some of the key ones that, while the market's going to heck in a handbasket and you're looking for long side opportunities only, for the people that fall into that category that don't like to short, that's perfectly fine. I was blessed back when I was young to learning the markets. I actually started learning the markets in the year of the '87 crash. I was a kid, and I was studying the markets and just learning them. I like to play chess, like to look at where I thought the stock market was going to go, and that was in like January of '87, and then of course the big crash happened, and so that got me studying how to short just as much as go long. And of course, obviously, full disclosure, I spent most of my time focusing on shorting last week, obviously. So from the swing trade perspective, for instance, or even on intraday basis, the SQQQ has been offering some great intraday opportunities, and then on a swing trade basis here, some of these right here. So that's how you can find some of those great opportunities. From my perspective, it's really focused to do just by going into Wealth Scanner, switching over to ETFs, and go to bullish to see what inverse ETF market opportunities there are. Okay, and to learn more about all these different types of strategies, there's so many things I want to show you here. We're only 2 weeks away now. 2 weeks away, and boy, the registrations have been like through the roof. Obviously, people are excited to learn what to do now, what to focus on now, strategies to use now in the current market environment. So the best live opportunity to go ahead and be with us online here is at it's coming up in 2 weeks now at the Wealth 365 Summit. These are so much better attended than any of the in-person type events in that, and this is just incredible. You see your favorite speakers, the wisdom that Ralph is going to give you. It'll be great to hear what he has to say. I've got all sorts of strategy sessions with you in the daytime and the evening, and then so many other people. We've taken your favorites and putting them into the lineup, and we got some new speakers on there as well that you're going to want to hear from. Big event, and there was so many great people, we had to push a bunch of them over into the January summit because we couldn't fit everybody in that we wanted to. So this is going to be an exciting show. So get yourself registered right now. Go to joinwealth365.com. Again, joinwealth365.com. And I am so much looking forward to seeing you guys at this very special event, sharing with you what I think is most interesting at that time and the strategies to use. You guys have a great rest of the weekend, and I'm looking forward to going ahead and seeing you in upcoming videos, and of course at the Wealth 365 Summit with so many other great speakers. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.